I think this is also just a really, really exciting trend in the luxury watch space. And we're seeing even like the most conservative manufacturers. We're seeing like Rolex, which is extremely conservative. We're seeing Patek, which is extremely conservative. We are starting to see them like experiment with more open dials, open case backs. So like, for example, the Platona, which is one of the most desirable Rolex watches. So it's their Daytona model, and it's got like the ice blue dial, and they actually just introduced it a couple years ago with an open case back, right? And like that's like you really rarely see Rolexes with open case backs. And so Rolex is starting to get a little more experimental with like, because the case, the movement of a watch, and why Rolex did this, and they were kind of like forced by the market to do this because it's like what the demand is crafting, right? It's like these movements within these watches are like, they're like a Lamborghini engine, right? Like they are precision instruments. They're beautiful, they're aggressive, they're masterfully crafted, like they are handcrafted in Switzerland, and they're absolutely beautiful. And high-end collectors are starting to use these watches to reflect their individuality, and the manufacturers are like coming into the market with these very interesting and creative designs to meet that demand. I've talked a lot about Ulysse Nardin, and I think they do amazing things with their artistic innovation, right? This is their freak model, right? So like you'll notice it doesn't have a crown, it doesn't have any pushers. It's like a very like simple design around the bezel, and you have the timekeeping instrument in the dial moving and just elegantly designed. And it, in my opinion, is just like an incredible expression on your wrist. It's a $71,000 MSRP watch. Like I discussed in the last section, like you can buy these for $50,000 in the secondary market. And in my opinion, like it's like a functional sculpture on your wrist. And it is also an incredible networking piece. And like when we think about like asset safety, that we talked about in the first section, like you can park your capital into one of these, like around $50,000, and it's not going to really move, right? Like it's a pretty safe store of value. It's not going to depreciate any further once you like know how to buy it correctly. Hublot. I talked a little bit about Hublot, like the guy that I met at the business convention. I think Hublot does an amazing job with design. I think they really shine in this category. They have, like I talked about, the Big Bang as a watch that they feature. Their Spirit of Big Bang is a very interesting watch. It's basically like kind of has that Richard Mille design, but for like 10% of the price. But it still is it's like a very desirable brand, a very well-recognized brand. It is a brand that is like elevating in terms of respect around their movement. That's where Hublot was kind of mostly dinged in like the 90s and 2010s. This is a $79,000 MSRP. And again, like there's a great value story here. It's available at about $41,000 in the secondary market. And again, like that is a store of reliable and predictable value. It is not going to depreciate any further than that, right? So it tells a very good money story. It's artistic in its design. And it is, in my opinion, also like a very good networking tool. And with Hublot, you can really balance like design prestige with collector appeal. Here's another example of a Hublot that I think really does an outstanding job in the wearable art phase, right? So this is their Big Bang Unico Sang Blue. This is a $28,000 MSRP. And you can buy these at 50% off in the secondary market. And again, like you can buy these like relatively new that still have the warranty in place in excellent condition with like all the boxes and all the papers, like 50% off. Like one thing I would also encourage this group is like never buy a watch brand new at the boutique. Like, please don't make that mistake unless it's like the very rare, desirable, like Rolex Daytona Pandas or like the Patek like Nautilus or the Aquanaut. Like again, like very select models that you know if you can get them at the AD, like get them. It's I've written about this quite a bit on my website recently. It's actually more difficult to get these watches these days because of different macro trends. But you really should always be looking at the secondary market. And you know, this watch I think is very appealing. If you're a fan of blue, like you can't get any better. It's a ceramic case, like the hexagonal decor, designed by a very famous artist. I think it's an exciting look. It's undervalued on the secondary market. It's vibrant, and I think it also, to the points I made earlier, like it has a very interesting like networking story around it, and it also can be like a good reliable store of value for you as you transfer as you consider wealth transfer strategies that I mentioned earlier in the presentation here. When you buy it at like $14,000, like it's really not going to go be much different than that in the future. I think I've got one more here. So like this is I think one of the most unique watches that I've seen from Ulysse Nardin. Like if you're really looking for I think like real innovation in terms of wearable art, like I think this like Freak and Yagasori timepiece is absolutely a great one to consider. Yeah, and this one's inspired by Japanese geometry, right? So you've got this flying carousel movement that is synonymous with all of their Freak models, along with the artistic craftsmanship. And again, like this is a watch when bought on the secondary market, it's a very reliable store of value when you buy it correctly. It's an incredible networking, ice-breaking tool. It's very easy to tell a story around this watch, so it's incredible for networking. It offers the wearable art benefit, and it is also a reliable store of value for any type of wealth transfer strategy.